bylaw officers and others from making sure that, things are going right in there.
Mark?
To your worship, to Councillor Day, currently our bylaw officers wouldn't be able to go on the secure side. However, the RCMP has the capability to enforce our bylaws on that side of the secure side.
So if there's an issue, it won't be bylaw officers, it'll be RCMP officers, is that right?
Through your worship, to Councillor Day, that's correct.
Okay.
All right. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Number 2 is off the agenda. Number 3, draft social development strategy. Melanie Berner, Dorothy Ho. Okay, so we've got the draft strategy. What did you want to tell us about it?
Staff have nothing further to add to the report and are here to answer any questions.
Okay, so if we approve this, it's going back out for more discussion
Correct, yes.
as to, seeing the actual strategy. Okay, Councillor McNulty.
Yeah, just thanks very much, and thanks for the process. I didn't see, of course, obviously, we're sending this back out. Are we going to put an emphasis on our emerging seniors population, as well as our youth and our concept of accessibility within the community? Is that going to be part of the social strategy brought in?
Through your worship to Councillor McNulty, within the strategy, there are actions specifically around planning for all ages and stages, which would support our seniors population, our youth population, and there's a section around creating accessible and inclusive environments. With our engagement, we will be looking to engage with the broad sector of the population. There will be a focus group with equity-deserving community members, as well as we'll work with our advisory committees and our community tables to get different perspectives, including our seniors and accessibility committees. We'll also have a number of supports to remove barriers, such as translation, in-person, online, and phone survey support.
Well, again, through your worship, well, one of the questions, it's great to have a document, but be based on asking needs and what they see with the population of seniors at 40%, if not growing, what they see as opposed to what we see for seniors now and the future. And the same with youth and in terms of also the idea of accessibility, because as you know, we have accessibility protocol and the province has moved in that direction as well, and to see that that is in there. I'm looking for actions as opposed to nice statements that we do such and such and we do such and such. Well, and I'm taking the lead from the accessibility group that I liaise to. We're getting lots of suggestions from them of where to go down the road, because none of us know or experience any of those things. We think we do, but we really don't know. So I'm looking for reality here. Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, everybody. So thank you for the report. It's really easy to read and understand. On page GP40, you go into detail about everybody that you engaged with previously, which is, for example, 4 community ambassadors, individuals with lived and living experience in the first paragraph, and then the various groups that you met with. I think that's fabulous. I mean, almost 600 responses. But on public feedback going forward, we don't talk about how many events there's going to be. It's just community pop-up events, focus groups, and survey support. So how many events do you anticipate hosting going forward?
Through the chair to Councillor Day. Through the chair to Councillor Day. We're going to have an online survey. We're planning for 3 community pop-up events across the city. 3.
Okay.
And then we're going to have a focus group with members of equity-deserving groups, and we're going to offer accessibility survey support as well. And in addition to that, we do plan to have meetings with advisory committee members as well, and we anticipate those would be around 4 to 5 meetings.
Okay, good. So there are multiple events and multiple opportunities.
That's correct.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and I'm going to follow up what Councillor McNulty was talking about too. I gotta tell you, this looks fine, it looks great, but here's my concern. And it's on GP 65, where you talk about the groups that develop the strategy. You talk about a significant segment that's affected by the social development strategy, but from what I can read, you don't consult them. And that's the youth and the seniors. It's great that you're going out now and consulting or talking to everyone else and broadcasting how great of a strategy we have. But two key groups that are going to be significantly impacted, we don't go out to them and we don't ask them what we should be doing. You've got composed representative from key city departments and community organizations that provide a broad range of social services and support. But we didn't go out and consult with the youth. And I think we've got, what's our population? 25% of youth up to age 24 in Richmond. I'm not sure what the percentage is for senior. So, you know, I really question that and whether we can kind of make up for that and specifically go out to whether it's the Minero Senior Society or some of the various organizations that represent the youth out there and our seniors, and kind of backtrack a little bit and kind of get what they think our social development strategy should be?
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, the members of this committee that you're referring to on GP 65 is composed of the advisory committee, but during the initial engagement, it informed the development of the social development strategy. We did go out and engage with youth through the school district, as well as seniors through the seniors advisory committee. And so we did ask them and engage with them to provide us, you know, and let us know what their needs are. And those have informed actions that you see under the 5 different strategic directions.
So where's that information so I would have known that so I didn't have to ask this long-winded question?
It's on GP 89.
And specific to seniors and youth, can you point me in that direction?
On the bullet point, there were 6 focus groups and 2 pop events with equity-deserving groups. So those included seniors, youth, newcomers, unhoused individuals, low-income households. So that was some very targeted engagement to understand where the barriers are in the community.
Okay, so I had my committee meeting with Minero Senior Society. They had no idea about this, and that was just today. No idea whatsoever. So if we're trying to engage them, and I'm not faulting you, but I just think we have to be a little more broader. So when you go out in the consultation piece now with the program you've developed, I'd really like to see some personal engagement with them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So, you got the resolution in front of you that's recommended. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you, staff. Then you got the OCP targeted update. John Hopkins, Emily Wang.
Nothing further to add, but happy to answer any questions.
Questions, Councillor McNulty?
Yeah, thanks very much. I appreciate all the feedback you got, but I'm wondering at what area and at what time are we going to get a chance to look at the community section by section, quarter section by section, like we did a number of years ago? We went through it, looking at areas to be preserved. We think we should have commercial here. Further development, preserving heritage, et cetera. When are we going to have that in a formal aspect after we get some of the feedback that you've got from the committee? Is that a workshop or a public hearing or an opportunity?
Yeah, through your worship to Councillor McNulty, what I would say to that is that the next stage is to really prepare the policies based on the draft principles that went through the public engagement. Part of that was a draft land use map that provides a physical layout of the land use designations, what's allowed in each one. But as far as putting it together with our current OCP and updating the relevant sections, that will be brought forward to council in November. Is when I would anticipate that would be brought forward. There would be a public hearing in December so that we can adopt the OCP and meet the provincial deadlines. And there will be a second phase of updates early in the new year that will incorporate other elements that are not associated with the provincial deadlines.
Okay, you hit on the one that I'm looking at, and that's land use. Because those of us around the table are changing land use every day, if you wish, every week. It may not agree with some of the community, and it may agree with some of the community. And I think we have to have that discussion. I don't like the idea that we have to have a deadline, like we got to finish the end of the year. No shot at the NDP government, but my God, with the bills they brought in, they can't expect everything to be on time because we're not preparing just an OCP. We're preparing something for the next 50 years. And that is a discussion I'd like to see us take place. I don't think we're having it right now. And I don't think other communities are either. They're going from day to day. You know, the one thing we have done, we have a great diking program because we planned that over 50 years, remember? And took it back to 30 years. So we actually have some things in our, we need to approach this just like we did with that, from my perspective anyhow. So I'll be pushing for that. Thank you.
Councillor Heed?
Yes, and again, carrying on with Councillor McNulty there is, on the land use, I have significant concerns of the lack of consultation with council as we develop the land use. There are areas that we have identified under the current OCP that will carry over to the new OCP, and we have not had the opportunity to sit and debate that as a council. And so I don't want to see the final OCP coming here, and guess what? I'm going to make 4 or 5 referrals with respect to that. I would like us to engage in the discussion even before the drafting of the new OCP to meet the guidelines is in place. So I'm not sure when in the timeline we are going to have that discussion, but I can tell you right now, that discussion, if we want this to go through, is sorely needed.
Through the chair to Councillor Heed, I guess what I can say to that is the next stage, once again, is to take the land use map and prepare policies that are associated with that, kind of provide a little bit more detail than what's in the draft land use map. And we will be taking that to council. There'll be, we can have full public discussion at that time when we bring forward that bylaw. If there is referrals sent back, we can certainly flag the areas that, maybe there's a concern from the province. I think the province, what they really need to know is, are we providing enough housing capacity? And I would say, yes, we are, and we're meeting the housing needs report. A lot of the other details, if it has to be dealt with in the new year, so be it. If there's time that's needed for council to debate the merits, that's fine.
Sorry.
I guess just from my point of view, I don't want to waste your time. Time is limited here. And if the discussion took place before you even started getting there, so you don't have to go back to the drawing table, I think it would be worthwhile for us to have that, whether it's in a workshop or something like that, and then make the decision in council. But I think we, in order to meet the timeline, I think it'd be very advantageous.
Do we need to wait till November to start that discussion, or could we have it started sooner than that?
I think we can have that discussion sooner, preferably, and certainly we can look at opportunities to have that discussion in the near future.
All right. Councillor Wolf.
Thanks. In the report, I was just wanting some clarity on the next steps, phase 3. where it mentions on page 138, a couple of bullet points there refer to revisions that are not related to the provincial deadline that are going to be included in the Part A amendments. So I recall when we had the staff workshop and with a really large target area actionable items and stuff, I can't remember what they were called. Is that what that is referring to? Like the things that we can actually start doing now to support those pillars of the OCP?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Wolf. Yeah, certainly those bullets there on page 138, or GP 138, are intentions of what we can accomplish by the end of this year. So it's above and beyond just the provincial deadlines. The ESA update, we intend to complete.
Councillor Hobbs.
Thanks, and through the chair, thanks for the update and the report. And I do want to acknowledge the amount of consultation that was done so far, although I agree more is needed. And the tough part in reading the results is that it's still a very small group that's choosing to engage. And I think a lot of those groups may have vested interests or be involved somehow in the development community as well, or an interest, for instance, in transportation. And that will be the focus of their commentary. GP 157 touches on one of the concerns I have, and that's the pace of development and the pace of change, basically, and really how it's going to impact our neighborhoods. And I'm not sure if the general public has a clear idea of the implications of everything that's happening as a result of different bills and the OCP amendments. And I know everybody around this table understands it, but just for the public, like when you talk about 0.65, FAR, you're talking about a townhouse that we see on Stevenson Highway, for instance, 3 stories at the front, 2 stories at the back. And when you talk about 0.80, we're talking about 3 at the front and 3 at the back, which is not something we traditionally do when they butt onto neighborhoods. So my concern is, and I just want to mention it, is the Tier 1 and Tier 2 village aspect that we talk about. And I support the village concept. But when we talk about Tier 1 and Tier 2, or let's say Category 1 and Category 2, and you look at something like Minato Village or Terra Nova, and there is a question at the end of this through the chair. We talk about 200 meters from the middle point of the intersection and going perhaps north, south, east, west with development. And with Tier 2, the larger ones, we talk about 400 meters, maybe north, south, east, west, maybe only in one direction for some. And all of these do have to come through rezoning. But my concern is with the villages, which I do support, I just have a concern about arbitrary numbers, because that's kind of what the provincial government did to us with a lot of numbers, arbitrary, one size fits all. And I think when we go through this, we should probably have policies and bylaws that support the densification of the villages, but maybe not setting false expectations and probably creating a lot of anxiety with people with the 400 meters as an example. And we saw this come forward with a couple of the recent proposals. And I'll point to the one on number 3 road backing onto the Maples as an example. We'll have that happening a lot. And I know that one of the reasons we have this density issue is because with SHMU, and I don't like that term, but the small house units from Bill 44, I think it is, the fact is you can build those along arterial roads more efficiently, more cost effective maybe, than townhouses, and they're less density than townhouses. So townhouses are preferable, and this is a way of getting around that or solving that issue, I guess, because you'll have higher density of 4 stories, 5 stories, and in the case of 100% rental, maybe 6 stories, butting on to possibly existing neighborhoods. And I think that's going to create all kinds of issues. So I prefer, and my understanding, and this is the question, my understanding is that staff, as they go through this process, that's not a done deal, and that these kind of things will be considered. And as Councillor McNulty and Councillor Heed have talked about further consultation, I think that's one of the points that should be brought up, because the public really often doesn't get engaged until a sign goes up on the corner of their neighborhood. So I think it's really important that everybody has a full understanding of what the meaning is when we talk about densification, 4 stories, 5 stories, 6 stories, and not tearing it down to the neighborhood. And I think there's solutions that staff is aware of. So the question is, we are going to be considering that as we go through this process?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, what I can say to that is that we will be developing more details in the policy approach. So for example, when we're talking about anything of 4 to 6 stories, and it's backing onto RSM or SHMU properties, that we will be looking at how that design can be tapered down so that you have the bulk of the building facing the arterial road, and that perhaps you've got the parking or lower scaled structures in the back to address those kind of issues. So you're not dealing with just a full bulk of a building. So those details still need to be worked out. I think right now the principal is looking at, are you comfortable with 4-story buildings up to 5 or 6 if it was rental within those local village areas? You were talking about 200 meters from some of the local villages out to 400 meters for others. 400 meters is essentially a 5-minute walk, so that's kind of where that number comes from. So there will be further detail just on how to address that interface with the RSM zones, because we recognize that's always a dominant issue if there's a proposal.
Sure won't belabor it. I appreciate the fact that you're going to look at that. I do think it's a mistake to have the numbers actually in the policy and the bylaws, so hopefully we can get another solution. Thank you.
Councillor Day.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. I'm happy to see in the report so far that 78% of people support affordable housing. Now comes the tough part, not in my backyard. So we definitely have to go further with that and educating the public as to what it actually looks like and how it can be beneficial to the community. My question is about, we have to complete the mandatory provincial updates by December 31st of this year. Are we on track?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, yes, we are on track. We can meet those deadlines.
Okay, and then the other thing, it's one thing to have density, and of course we know it has to happen, but I'm also hearing loud and clear that TransLink is not providing enough bus service, that the roads are getting too congested. So will the concerns about transportation be also dealt with during the OCP review?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, yes, it will be, and there's also some key legislation with respect to transportation as far as road dedications are concerned, and also there's a lot of policy initiatives in here about connections, whether it's cycling or pedestrian connections to the arterial roads, to the SHMU neighborhoods that now that not the single family anymore. So yes, there definitely land use and transportation are interlinked, so there'll definitely be some updated transportation policies.
And while we can control roads, we can't control TransLink. And when we're in the process of approving 220 units or 120 units, what's the process for alerting TransLink that there will be more need, more requirement?
Yeah, through the chair to Councillor Day, that's a difficult question because a lot of the times you have to build the density and then transit will come, but you hope that can be sooner rather than later. So it is an ongoing relationship with TransLink and their funding, but what we hope is that if there's intention in the policy and the policy is being implemented, that TransLink will then put the funding towards improved transit for those
And
key
maybe we
areas.
could just give them a heads up as we're working down the process, because they can't just flick their fingers and say, okay, you're getting 2 more buses. They need to know as well, so they can budget and plan for the future. So let's stay in contact and let them know this project, there's 5 new projects coming in the Spires area. Get ready.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Liu.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. Thank you for this. When I think about some of what we're doing here, I'm reminded of how sometimes looking at those boards is hard for people to really conceptualize. And earlier this year, we had the Public Works Open House. Someone had done that Lego of Richmond. And I'm wondering if we could do more model examples of what different builds might look like. So, build your 4-story building and show what it might look like sitting somewhere. So I know there's 3D print options, I know there's Lego, I know there's different ways of really showing to someone what that looks like. So yes, this is what a 4-story building next to your house might look like, but if we do the articulation this way, here's how, and put a flashlight on it and be like, so here's how the light would work. And so people can really envision it. Otherwise they wait till everything sounds like a good idea. Yeah, 4 stories is great, 3 stories is great. Who knows until it does come to their neighborhood and then everybody really panics. But if they're able to conceptualize it and look at it differently, they might have a clear understanding of what they even are agreeing to, because it can be very pie in the sky when you're just talking about, yes, we need numbers, yes, we need these things, but at least if you can move models around and say, oh, okay, all right, I see what you're saying, you're gonna taper it down, or, 4 is just too big, or 3's fine, or whatever. But they'll be able to see it, have some examples of what standard trees in some neighborhoods, how tall they are. So it's like, yeah, you're going to build a building, but it's not taller than some of the trees in the neighborhood. So,
Yeah.
You might be okay with it because you want the shade from the tree, maybe you want the shade from the building. I don't know.
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, what I can add to that is that part of this OCP update is to be much more graphically oriented as well. So it's not just words you're reading or bullets, that there is visualization of what, like I say, especially when you're talking about FAR, what does that mean?
Yeah.
So there'll be an attempt to try to put a more visual component to the OCP.
Okay, and like I said, if you can actually do some 3D modeling of it, and certainly, yes, whatever you build won't be every possible conceived thing, but I think it at least gives people a better, hands-on feel for what they might envision.
Councillor Gillanders.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for all your work on this. Just, noticing the numbers, and Let's Talk is always fairly low, but I know that we did put in some effort into putting boards up everywhere, putting boards up at Burkefield Days, putting boards up all over the place. Because, receiving 1,400 to 2,200 engagements out of our population is like not even not even 1%. So, and it's going to be a plan that's in place for the next foreseeable future, decades, right? So, and this is people's chance to get their input in. When you were consolidating the information here from public, is this just from Let's Talk, or when people did interact at City Hall, or did you receive any phone calls, other emails, not through Let's Talk, engagement at events? Were those also compiled in the report?
Through the chair to Councillor Gillanders. So everything that was included in this summary engagement is from Let's Talk Richmond, the online survey. And we also did include any feedback that we received from the public through emails, and also through the external agencies that submitted their feedback as well. But in terms of any comments that the public may have asked at the open house to staff, we didn't necessarily include those in the summary, but we did encourage and remind public members that the survey is available online, and that we also had physical copies of the survey available at the open house as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, may I have a motion? Moved and seconded. Further discussion, all those in favor? Any opposed? That is carried. Thank you, staff. All right, then we have Councillor Heat's motion. Do you want to introduce it?
Yeah, it's quite simple. We just include the ongoing build of Stevenson Community Center as part of the Oversight Committee, just as another precautionary measure to make sure that we build it within the estimated budget.
Well, could we get staff to comment on this, please? So what have we got in place already?
Through to the chair, we have awarded the building contract, we have awarded the washroom contract, and the additional space after we demo. What's left is only the demolition of the community center. That's the only thing that we have not awarded.
Now, are they fixed price contracts?
That is correct.
So it's baked, basically, the project.
That is correct, Mr.
It's
Mayor.
there.
So the comment I'll make on that, that's fine. Then there's not much that the Oversight Committee is going to be doing. But I think in order to have another set of eyes on it and do the due diligence, so we're not talking a year from now where all of a sudden we've got some increased fees, I think at least we've got them looking at it. They're not overwhelmed with what is going on right now. And I think it could be a good exercise and maybe beneficial to staff to say that, yes, everything is done right. I just don't see the downside of not including them in this project.
All right, we'll go to Councillor Liu. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. It occurs to me that the project is essentially set. This project and some of the concerns that have come around didn't take into account how much is happening in that bathroom area, because there's all the high-tech stuff that goes in there for electricity, fiber optics, a bunch of other things. I think if we are going to start peeling back on projects and looking and adding things to the Oversight Committee, I think we should be looking at the siting of the Works Yard, and they should be looking at that. So I think that would be a far better bang for your buck, is to put that one on it.
They are. at
The
this
siting?
point.
Are they re-looking at the siting?
Oh, I don't know. They are constituted and looking at that project. I can't give you the details. What are they doing at the workshop?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, the Oversight Committee have looked at all of our plans, our procurement, our design concepts, our principles, the elevation, all the decisions that were made before we came to council before the break. The Oversight Committee reviewed and endorsed.
Did they look at the site options?
When you say site, Councillor Liu, can you
Like
clarify?
where the variety of locations of where the Works Yard could have been located? Did they see that report?
Through the chair to Councillor Liu, the committee did not exist at that time when we selected the site.
Okay, but we could unselect it if the prices have changed considerably.
In any case, the motion that we're going to have is to add Stevenson to it, not the workshop. So we'll go to Councillor Glanders.
Thank you. This is a good idea in principle, obviously. My only concern is the timing of it. So when would we need the Oversight Committee to review where we're at with Steveston before the next thing we have to do there, which would be, like you said, awarding the demolition contract? The other contracts are already set. They could possibly catch something that might go wrong, for sure. But I have to say that the committee is, Councillor Heath said they're not overwhelmed, but the amount of correspondence that we've got going on regarding the Works Yard and timing of meetings and important milestones of that project with everybody's, with all these professionals' busy schedules is pretty robust at this point. So I don't know where, I think it, and they're all very focused on the Works Yard and have dove in really deep into the details. So to send them off on, okay, well, now you're going to look at this project, just timing wise, I don't see where it's going to fit. But maybe staff has a better idea of where it could fit in that.
So through the chair to Councillor Glanders, staff are happy to present the information for the Stevenson Community Center to the Oversight Committee. The contracts are awarded, the design is complete, but we are happy to share this information. The timing, we can schedule a meeting. We already have one scheduled for September 18th. We can schedule another meeting and we can present.
So I could suggest perhaps we could, if this motion passes, then what could happen is we could put it on an agenda item at the next meeting to ask them what they think of when a good time to look at that one would be. And just give them a very broad overview of it and then see where the timing could fit in.
Okay, we're getting a bit into
A bit ahead of
details
ourselves,
it.
yeah.
Councillor Day.
Yeah, well, I agree that having an extra set of eyes on this is a great idea, because look at the great work they did. And I'll just remind Councillor Liu that the Oversight Committee did look at the project over at the Works Yard and did come up with some pretty major decisions and changes that were going to save us time and money. So there's no harm in having these very qualified experts taking a look at the Stevenson Community Center. And if there is some limitations for their timing, then I'm sure they'll point it out to us. So I'll be supporting the motion.
Councillor Hobbs.
Thanks, and through the chair. If you can just remind me about how many reports have we had on this project, the Stevenson Community Center? Because everyone that I've read has been on time, on budget.
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, we have submitted, I believe, 6 or 7 reports, and we are still on budget and on schedule.
So, this would have been a good project for that committee. I have no doubt about that if the timing would have been different. But for me, this project is essentially almost done. I support it completely, including the washroom facility. And so having a second set of eyes or another group look at it, on the one hand, does no harm, but this is done. And that committee, in my mind, is to be in at the ground floor level to help develop the project and make sure that we are on time, on budget, and all those things, and that we develop it the right way. for whatever purpose it is, the works yard being the one case. Is that a fair description?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, that is correct. Their advice from the beginning on design aspects is what is beneficial.
Sure, so, and if it passes, no harm done, but I won't be voting for it because the time to do that would have been a long time ago. And I'm not in the business of making work for any particular committee. So, but if it goes ahead, no harm done.
Councillor Howe.
I just want to have one clarification. So, the project, this Stevenson Library Community Center project, doesn't fit into the threshold for this review committee, right? I mean, we have set certain criteria for the review, but I think that project doesn't fit into.
Through the chair to Councillor Howe, it actually fits $50 million and above for the major construction projects. This project is $95 million.
Okay, so it fits.
That is correct.
I'm reminded when we talk about this kind of a committee, I'm reminded of the North Shore wastewater treatment plant, where the budget went from 600 million to 1.1 billion to 4 billion. And I can't be sure of the exact time, but certainly for the time that it went from $1 to $4 billion, we had an expert panel in place. And when was the last time you heard from anybody on that expert panel? What has been their input? We have heard absolutely nothing from them. So to think of this kind of a committee, when you've designed it, they could have helped with the design, but it was too late. They could have helped with construction contract, but it's too late. I think that it's you're incurring costs, you're incurring administration. I can't see it being productive. So I'm not going to be supporting it. But I do have one question. What kind of, what's the word, the assessment, quantity surveyors were used when the contracts came up to make sure we were getting value for money?
To the chair, for every tender, we get 3 different prices from the market, and then we award to one. We do a QS estimate before we go out to tender, a quantity surveying estimate. We do a CM, a construction manager estimate, and we have another third-party peer review verify the estimates before we go out. So to make sure that when we go out to tender, they are not over budget, we do that. And then when they come back, we verify the cost also with the same individuals.
All right, so all that has been done in
That is
this
correct.
case. So we have had the outside look on the veracity of the various contracts that have been entered into and the design and all that kind of stuff.
That is correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I'm not, based on that, I'm not sure this committee has anything to usefully add. So Councillor Heed, do you want to make your motion?
I want to leave the motion, I want to amend it. And the amendment is to have the council meet with the oversight committee with just the CAO in the room.
Well, just a minute. Hold it a sec. You want council to meet with the oversight committee to deal with Stevenson? Is that what you're saying?
In general. Not specific to Stevenson, but I'm sure Stevenson could be a discussion point.
Well, is it or isn't it?
Okay, let's leave it is, yes.
Okay. I think that we should think about that. I'm going to call notice of motion on that, if you want to make that change. So we'll have that, this discussion the next time. And frankly, from my point of view, I'm saying this to be constructive. If we can have something in writing that would justify what we're talking about here. Now, the other thing that occurs to me, with only the CAO in the room, that sounds like a meeting of council that is, okay, so you're talking about a closed meeting. Okay, I think we better hear more about that.
Thank you.
All right. No, there is no question. No, it's not been moved. Just a minute, we just heard Councillor Heed, who is proposing the motion, saying he's changing it.
That's fine, I'm trying to get it back to the floor.
Yeah, you haven't made your motion. I mean, you've told us what you were going to make, but you've not made your motion, right?
So I will make the motion. Described in the report.
Okay, so that's moved. Is it seconded? Moved and seconded. We'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? All right, so that's carried with Councilors Liu, Hobbs, Howe, and the mayor opposed. So you can make your own decision as to whether you're going to bring on something else. All right, and the final thing is from the Deputy CAO's office, response to Build Canada Homes Market Sounding. Gentlemen, we've got your report, though we got it late. Do you want to tell us about it? Or what do you have to add to the report? Put it that way.
Nothing to add, Your Worship. We're happy to answer questions.
So this is a proposal that, or a position that you've already taken, but noted that it was subject to council confirmation.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, so it's moved and seconded. Councillor Day, you had your hand up.
Thank you very much, Mayor Brody. Isn't it interesting that mid-August, we find out about this, the Housing Infrastructure and Communities Plan, and you're expected to respond by August 29th. Well, we're all on vacation and all over the world, but I think you guys did a bang-up job of what you did submit to the federal government. My only question is that you mentioned in the write-up that the feds to provide Crown land for housing. I think that's a very good idea. Would it be possible to include a map just reminding the federal government of all the pieces of Crown land we have here in Richmond?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Day, yes, we can provide follow-up comments with a map.
Thank you.
Councillor Galanders.
Thank you, through your worship, and I second those comments. Thank you for turning around and getting this in right away. Possibly lots of municipalities didn't, so well done. And I agree with everything you've put in here, and it's great to have all of the statistics at our fingertips again about 35% of Richmond households living in unaffordable housing, and the need that we have to deliver 5981 units of extreme core housing needs. That's very helpful to have this in this climate that we're in right now. But my question was, I haven't been able to dive deeply into exactly what this program is going to be funding, but I know that the City of Vancouver, for example, has just expanded a bunch of co-op developments, and that used to be through federal funds. And how does that relate to this at all, or does it? And how did Vancouver get those co-ops built? Do you know?
Through Your Worship, Councillor Glanders, I don't know. Offhand, we can certainly inquire with the City of Vancouver.
But they weren't federally funded co-ops, were they?
Well, yeah, that's what I want to know.
My understanding through you is that they're provincially funded.
Provincially funded, okay. Yeah, well, this is great, and I like Councillor Day's idea of the addition to submission, and it's good. Thank you.
Councillor Hobbs.
Thanks, yeah, just briefly, just want to mention what great work it is, and specifically a few things I really like in it, and that's talking about smaller projects and managing risk. That's on 193. Harbor House is a good example of that, how it came together, and you mentioned that one. Also, the financial sustainability aspect to it that's included in there, that's really important. And on page 195, you talk about risk and return and kind of sharing some of those returns if we can. Those are just a few of the really good points in there, so thanks for doing this.
All right, Councillor McNulty.
Just two quick things, Your Worship. On the, following up on Councillor Day's comment with regard to the map, can we also get a map of the province's land as well as the feds? I think it's important that we have that because the other thing is, given all of these, given our page 191, we talk about our targets, and it's a big thing, as you well know. The last, 15 municipalities were given their targets, and we're meeting our targets. Are we going to say anything in it when our response that we're meeting our targets, but we need help to continue to meet the 5-year target that's put up by the province?
Through Your Worship to Councillor McNulty, Yeah, I think that's an underlying narrative with all the discussions we're having with senior levels of government, is that it has to be a,
I think they're making, if I through worship, they're making lofty projections of how many opposition parties came in the last federal election saying we're going to build so many units. The predominant party is also saying it, but where the heck are they going to get them? We're going to, if you wish, get them done because they're not. And I think that that point has to be made to both levels of government. It's like to have, it's great to have the bills and what have you, but we're the ones that are doing the delivery. And too often they put impediments in our way. So I'm hoping a good report, and I think it's good. And actually, it'd be interesting sharing this kind of comment with Metro Vancouver, because to be quite frank with you, when I look at a number of the projections and where they're going, Your Worship, I'm not so sure. You've been there the longest that, and I don't criticize them, they're trying hard, but are they going to meet theirs? Thank you.
Good question. Councillor Liu.
Thank you, Worship. Thank you for the report. I'm wondering if we need a notwithstanding clause. If we have a challenge over fee simple ownership of property in Richmond and across Canada, then how can we possibly expect anybody to invest in it and build anything on it?
Aha. I got it. Well, I think that kind of makes a point. Okay, so let's call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Okay, we're now adjourned, and we'll call the Finance Committee meeting to order. As we call it to order, notice that staff wanted to clarify what the recommendation was. I think we all got the idea from what was in the agenda, but you've got a new wording to talk about option 2 for the DCCs. And then, as well as that, you've got the amenity cost charges as recommended. So to staff, anything you want to add? Just hang on a sec. Yes.
Your Worship, we have nothing to add. Staff from
Just-
various.
Sorry, a point has just been made. You'll move the minutes. Seconded? All those in favor, opposed, carried. So on the DCCs.
Nothing to add. Staff from various departments are here to answer any questions from committee about the program.
Okay, the current recommendation. So that's moved and seconded. Mike, do you have anything to add to this?
Nothing to add, Your Worship.
Very complicated area and controversial, frankly. Councillor Heed.
Yes, complicated to the extent where I am looking for, in your report, Mike Urvinus, the combination of the DCC and the ACC. And you mentioned it here, but then I can't find the chart with respect to that. Am I looking in the wrong place?
To Your Worship, through to Councillor Heat, the charts are located in FIN 47 in attachment 8.
And that would be the combination of DCC and ACC.
DCC, ACC, along with them regional DCCs. So those.
So we're just talking about the aggregate.
The aggregate, the total.
Okay, so when, for example, in FIN 12, where we start talking about the DCCs, we start using some analysis on estimations, the comparison, we break it down into a very micro level. So do we have that same analysis done when we add in the ACC on that? For example, single-family lot, DCC rates estimated $66,000. Do we have one where let's say, okay, and if we throw the ACC into that, what that would be?
If you refer to FIN 47 in the chart, it will show it in a graphical format. FIN 47, attachment 8. So for instance, in this single-family chart, the Richmond proposed is 109,325, which is the aggregate of the proposed DCC, the Metro Vancouver and TransLink DCC, along with the ACC in the purple section.
So that's the aggregate amount.
Correct.
If someone wants to build in Richmond.
Correct.
They would have to contribute
That's
with
correct.
that. would have been easier for me, maybe it's just me at a lower level, if it was displayed the same way you displayed the other DCC and the ACC with respect to that. Thank you.
Maybe what you could do is give us a memo with that kind of combined table in it
We'll do, Your Worship.
with numbers and stuff. Okay, Councillor Glanders.
Thank you. Staying on those charts, the FIN 47, 48, 49, we were shown, it shows, for example, that Coquitlam, if you look at their DCC and ACC rate, that they are higher than us on FIN 47. Even just the DCC amount without, all the site conditions, the DCC amount without the ACC, Coquitlam is showing us higher than Richmond for cost for the development. But when I look at the UDI letter that they sent us, the mayor and councilor, in June, the UDI letter states that Richmond is significantly higher than Burnaby and Coquitlam and Delta. How can you explain that?
Through the chair to Councillor Galanders, the letter that you received from UDI was dated in June. The Coquitlam DCC and ACC bylaw were adopted sometime in July, so there's a timing difference. And as we speak, different municipalities are also undergoing their DCC and ACC update. So this comparison is not static, and it will change as time goes by.
That is what I was wondering, because when we first did the big increase to DCCs a couple of years ago, we were told that all the other municipalities are doing it as well, and it was going to catch up. So I was wondering if the letter showed their old rates. So why did, they took a long time to adopt theirs. Okay, the other question I have regarding, so for Smooths, for example, if someone puts in development to build 4 independent units, but not necessarily stratify them, they're just building them, and maybe they're just going to let their kids rent them. Would that be subject to DCCs?
Yes, through Your Worship to Councillor Glanders, yes, it would be subject to the SHMO rate.
If somebody has a single-family home and they're just going to add a suite to it, the way they've always added secondary suites, DCC's subject there?
For secondary suite,
If it's part of the single-family dwelling as a secondary suite, it's not a separate dwelling, so it won't be subject to DCC.
But if it's a fully separated suite with a kitchen and things, how is that different than having a 3-plex that are all just in the same building? As long as it's not stratified, is what I'm saying.
we'll probably defer that to our planning and development folks.
Through the chair to Councillor Glanders, I think the real difference with the secondary suite is it could be open and used just for the family of the main dwelling unit, or it could be rented off. It has that sort of option. So therefore, it's not really treated as a separate locked-off dwelling unit. So if somebody were to build, say, a duplex, and they're 2 separate contained units, then yes, there would be a separate charge. But if it's a single-family dwelling with a secondary suite, at this point, the way the bylaw is kind of being proposed, high level, there would not be a charge.
Okay, so would it be possible to consider DCCs on Smooths only being collected on a stratified sale as opposed to before it's been built? No, not possible. Is it possible for, put Smooths aside, this is kind of outside the scope of this exact thing we're talking about, but when we charge DCCs on a development, on an apartment building or anything else, is it possible to change when we collect it to on occupancy versus before it's built?
To the chair, to Councillor Galanders, the requirement is legislated by legislation, and there's recently a new legislation coming from the ministry to allow us to defer the installment payment until occupancy.
Oh.
So it's coming.
Oh, good. That's good to
Effective
know.
January 1st,
Okay, good.
2026.
And then regarding the motion on the floor that's been moved, option 2, I was leaning towards option 3, just with the market the way it is right now, just in Richmond with the soil conditions, with the district energy requirements, plus the DCCs, the cost to build is so much higher, and we do need, the market is, kind of tanking. So I was not really I was thinking a break at this point would be helpful, a freeze. But it says in the report, you know, the cons to doing that are that inevitably we'd have to do a catch-up. And I believe that, but is it not, like, it's hard for me to see, like, when I'm looking at all the drainage upgrades and all the things that we have to do, all the things that are funded by this, would it not be possible, like, is it at a certain time frame that these things have to be completed by? Or if we were just collecting less DCCs, could we not just spread projects out for longer? Like, why would there have to be a catch-up?
To the Chair, to Councillor Galanders, the risk of any inaction is it will probably widen the infrastructure funding gap. We currently have a 30-year plan, and you're correct that we can delay some of these projects, but eventually somebody has to pay. So it's either through taxes, tax money, or future development will have to pay into the pool in order to fund this infrastructure that we required by growth.
All right. Councillor Wolf.
Thank you. Staff, I really appreciated the colorful charts there and including where Richmond is and where we potentially are going. Just want to get clarification. That whole attachment 8 is including option 2 for the DCCs, right? Yeah. So yeah, I would have, just curious, what it would have looked like if you also included option 1 in there, like how much significantly longer would have our bars been over all the others because of the enlarged orange section. It must have been needed like 3 pages wide to do some of that, right?
That's correct. Through the Chair to Councillor Wolf, that's correct. If we were to include option 1 in the chart, it would be top at the back and will be quite far out on the right.
Okay, thanks. And then my follow-up question is, looking at the pros of option 1, I'll just read them, they're very short. I wonder how we can actually get to some of these, if they are our goals financially. So option 1 would have allowed the DCC program to reflect current construction costs. So we wouldn't be doing that with option 2. Also, it would have supported accurate cost recovery and fairness to ensure growth pays for growth. I wonder how we eventually will get there then. And then finally, it would avoid shifting the cost to growth to existing population. And we hear a lot at property tax time, how people are like, well, look at all the new buildings, you're collecting all this money, how come we're having to pay 5% or what, so more? How will we get to some of those financial solutions if we're not utilizing the DCC option?
Through your worship to Councillor Wolf, there are a few things that we could do. I mean, delaying some of the projects that we could. And you know, at the end of the day, you know, if we do need to build those infrastructure, we have to, you know, tax the, you know, property tax, or we have to take it from our utility sales as well. So we'll eventually get there. Is probably delay the completion of the project.
Okay, great, appreciate that, thanks.
Okay, Councillor.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for the report. Childcare is one of those interesting things that's, you know, we're supplying that as a municipality, but it's also a commercial venture. So somebody opening up a childcare facility is paying the ACC for childcare on their space. So there's a bit of irony in that. Is there any way we could sort of rethink that or relook at it, or maybe we just want to lower the amount we're asking in childcare in general? We've done a lot of building up till now. There's a lot coming in through the school board and other sources, and there are private people building childcare. So I think we're still meeting our goals, even if we adjust that. But like, is there some way to sort of create that fairness that if you're building a childcare facility, somehow you're also getting charged with building more childcare facility?
Through the Chair to Councillor Liu, there is a way to avoid the problem is to define such type of use in the bylaw itself to perhaps exclude it from ACC charge, and it's something that we could work on as we draft the bylaw.
Okay,
if that's
thank
what
you.
Council wanted.
And I think that would possibly include schools as well. Like if you're building a school or a daycare, you shouldn't be having to pay to build daycare space. I think that's a reasonable thing to talk about.
Counselor Day, to finish it up?
Yep, so I'm looking at page Fin 11 with the three options, and then it says under the recommended option 2, the capital costs are 3.27 billion over 30 years, and we can recover 2.25 billion, and that means the taxpayers who already live in their homes have to pay 31% of the total capital costs at 1.02 billion. I'm sure there's a lot of taxpayers that wouldn't like to hear that. My question is, haven't we over the years put money into sinking funds? I mean, we have like over $1 billion in reserves. Why do we have to tax the taxpayer 31% of these extra costs? I mean, I would think we have that money in one of our silos.
Through the chair to Councillor Day, you're correct that we do have reserve to account for the operational and maintenance of our infrastructure. The amount presented here, the 1.02 billion, is future infrastructure that will be put in place, but that also has a benefiting component to existing population. So these will be funded from taxes through tax payments by existing taxpayers.
So they're paying to maintain what they already have, like roads, streets, sewers, that kind of thing.
They're paying to. Through your worship to Councilor Day, they're paying to maintain those infrastructure as well. So it's an ongoing thing through property tax that we collect. Currently, we do have for various utilities, we already collect reserve funds that goes into those accounts. That's already embedded. I wouldn't say embedded, but incorporated in the rates. However, I do realize that there is also a funding gap in the utility rates as well to maintain those infrastructure or replace those infrastructure.
Well, sometimes I wonder if we shouldn't sharpen our pencils and maybe manage things a little bit better, because to me, that 31% of total capital costs, on top of the utility rates that they're already paying, on top of the taxes they're already paying, it starts to get very onerous. And this year, I don't know why, this year of all the years I've been on council, I've heard more from taxpayers than I ever have before. So I'd like to see a blending of option 1 and option 2. I think that there's got to be a way to better manage our investments, better manage our projects, to put less burden on the existing homeowners.
All right, I'm going to call the question then on the motion. All those in favor? Those opposed? It's carried with Councillor Day opposed. Active capital projects, anything to add?
To the worship, staff has
May I
nothing
have a
further to
motion?
add.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Thank you. Financial information for the quarter. Cindy, anything to add?
Nothing to add, Your Worship.
All right. Can I have a motion? Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor, opposed, carried. Little Island Energy. Moved and seconded. Anything to add to your report?
Nothing to add, Mr. Chair.
Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Richmond Oval. Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
A very quick update, Your Worship, if we may.
Jerry? Rick?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. At the beginning of the year, we committed to a more sustainable and efficient model of service delivery, one grounded in strengthening core programs and identifying meaningful operational efficiencies. We're pleased to present results from the second quarter to affirm that this shift is working, as we are seeing tangible progress with enhanced community engagement, growing visitation, and strong financial performance. Most notably, we just recorded a nearly $1 million favorable variance to the same time last year, and achieving this result with an 11% reduction in the city's annual contribution. The hard work continues, but at the halfway mark of 2025, the Oval's trajectory remains firmly on course. And then just another thing we want to add, the report that is in your package is the exact same copy as the one our board of directors have received in the spirit of greater transparency and communication.
Councillor Day.
Thank you so much. It's been a long time since I've been happy to see an Oval report, and this is so well written. I'm really pleased with the transparency, really pleased with the details, but mostly I'm thrilled to pieces that with the new board and the change in direction, the city of Richmond will pay $428,000 less than it did last year. I can see that even though we have a new board, we still got quite a bit of funding in GOT funding, which was phenomenal, $4.09 million worth of GOT funding in 2025. So there you go. It goes to show that change is as good as a rest. Thanks for your hard work. Appreciate it.
Councillor Heat.
Yes, thank you. And again, it's great to have a discussion like this, just so you know, after all the other discussions we've had. So I just need clarification from either Jerry or Rick on 10 of 10 there. And the GOT funding, so you managed to get quite a portion, but the way that's worded, you received just over 2 million in June, and then 4 million, over 4 million was received in July 2025. So you're referring to the total amount of the 4 million was received in July 2025. So that's what that's in reference for. It wasn't an additional 4 million.
Through your worship to Councilor Reid, that's correct. So 4 million is the total amount we received in 2025. And up to June 30th, we've recognized half of that in our revenues.
Okay, but you've got the other half now.
Correct.
You've got it all. And that's all we're expecting from GOT for 2025.
Correct. We apply each year, and that's the total amount we've received for this year.
The other one, I just, for my benefit, post-employment benefits, is the 785,000, is that what we're putting in our booking on that for future? Or is that what we've paid out? Or I guess the question should be, what have we paid out in 2025?
Through your worship to Councilor Reid, so the 785, that's for obligations relating to future benefits that are earned and are prorated based on actuarial assumptions. So that this is an amount, a liability for future future payments.
Do we have a figure of what's been paid out in 2025?
Through your worship to Councilor Reid, I don't have that on me right now, but we can get that to you.
That's fine, thank you.
All right, let's call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That's carried. Someone move adjournment. Thank you. I'll now call the closed council meeting to order. May I have a motion on the agenda? Closure, compliance, and the agenda. Okay, all those in favor? Any